the chemical abortion pills themselves, plus the dead babies that are going into our systems. This is just, it's not a good thing. But when it affects them personally, and especially the abortion pills, the callers now, they're calling within days. I mean, we're not talking about just weeks or months or years. Lots of times women who have had surgical abortions, they'll call years later. It might be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, maybe even 40 years later, they will be calling in regards to their surgical abortion they had. But now with the chemicals, they're calling within days, and they're just crying, they're weeping. I didn't know this. I mean, one caller I had last week, she just kept crying. I didn't know, over and over. And finally, I had to calm her down enough that I could carry on a conversation with her. Hysterics, and I couldn't understand her. And, she finally got to the point of being calmed down, at least, that, then she could talk about it. But yeah, it's just so immediate, I think, the devastation from the chemical abortions, what's happening, because they just don't realize, what they got to go through.
Good morning and welcome to More to the Story with Molly White. Molly is not able to be with us today, so Mary Browning, I will be your host today. And we have a guest with us who some of you may have heard before, but her name is Tammy Holly from the state of Michigan. Welcome, Tammy, to More to the Story, and we look forward to what you're going to tell us today. Can you let our listeners know kind of who you are and what you do?
Yes, thanks. I'm glad to be back. It's been a little while since I've been on, so it's a privilege to be back here. Thank you so much. Yes, so I am with Mark, Michigan Abortion Recovery Coalition. We founded a new coalition here in Michigan in the spring of 2024. So myself and a co-founder, Karen Holdren, we've been working with that. And the purpose of that is to connect with all the pregnancy centers across our state, let them know what we're doing, encourage them to help with abortion recovery care. And if they don't have that currently, then how can we help them in getting that started? We're also connecting with legislators across our state with new things happening. Let them know who we are, and we can certainly help with them, share women's stories of abortion and how that's hurt them and how that's an impact on legislation as well. So we're just connecting, collaborating, encouraging women across the state to share their stories. And it's exciting. Like I said, it's just brand new. So, we're starting to really feel it now, I think, and really get the word out. So
excellent. And if you heard Tammy before, you heard her story, so you know that both of us have abortion in our past. And so it fuels a passion to be involved in this, which Tammy's been involved with Operation Outcry now since 2001. Is that right, Tammy?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Wow.
So Tammy came in on the ground.
Wow.
Tammy came in on the ground level of Operation Outcry. So when she talks about finding other avenues for people to hear about the abortion experiences, she knows what she's talking about. Tammy, I want to slow down for just a minute. You talked about Mark, which is the Michigan Abortion Recovery Coalition, correct?
Correct, yes. Yeah.
And so you mentioned connecting pregnancy help centers together with one another, in the state of Michigan, so they recognize their common mission, I guess.
Yes,
perhaps.
Exactly. Yes.
With the purpose of letting them know about abortion recovery if they're not familiar with it, and inviting them to offer that through
Yes.
their services. So
Yeah.
I just want to underscore that, because one of the things that I learned as I began doing some of the work that I do is that there is a whole network of abortion recovery out there. But there are a lot of people that are providing very good work, but they're sort of not connected very well.
Yes.
So
That's
I
very correct. Yes, that's very correct. I was amazed even. I have pretty much extensively went through our whole resource list in the state of Michigan. We have over 120 centers, but out of those, I was very surprised how many, really did offer abortion recovery. Several will refer out, but there was, I'm going to say right now, without counting, I think I sort of started counting, but there was maybe only about 35 to 40 out of that 120 that actually offered abortion recovery care. Yeah.
Tammy, you also are a coach on the H3 helpline. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've been a H3 helpline coach for almost a year now. It'll be a year here, I think, coming up the end of this month or the first part of December, just in a couple of weeks. I tell you, that's been the best thing I ever got involved in, I think, other than helping facilitate it after abortion recovery care. But I guess I say it's the best thing, but yet it's a very hard thing because it's not for women who have not been healed after their abortion journey. You certainly need to be healed to be a helpline coach because you
Yes.
never know what kind of stories you're going to hear when you answer. Some of those stories could be a huge trigger for women who have not been healed on their journey after abortion. Um, I mean, I just never know what is going to be on the other end of the call when we answer.
Mhm.
Your call is confidential. How can I help you? So, a lot of devastating things sometimes.
Well, and I am thinking your experience then as a helpline coach really underscores your perspective in terms of the need for abortion recovery.
Absolutely. Especially now with the abortion pills just being so rampant. Oh my goodness. I mean, I just found out this morning in Michigan, because there's no brick and mortar in the UP of Michigan anymore. Now, in Marquette, there is a medical urgent care clinic who is now dispensing the abortion pills. So it's like, that's brand new this morning, I found out. And it's like, really? Oh my gosh. An urgent care facility? Do you know what you're doing to these women? They don't.
Mhm.
They have no clue what's going to happen, you know?
But you do know, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Well, not specifically from the chemical abortions, but from being the helpline coach, yes, and answering those kind of calls who have had the chemical abortions. The devastation is just awful. Just
So
awful.
I think most of our listeners would be familiar with some of that. But if this is a first time listener, I first wanted to let them to be sure they know about the H3 helpline number. It's 866-721-7881. And for those of you that can view the screen, the number is on the screen. But
Yes.
Tammy, as you've answered the helpline, what have you discovered about, and well, not just answered the helpline, but in your work with abortion recovery for years, and you're being a voice for Operation Outcry, getting the truth out there. What do you see are the trends with abortion harm?
Yeah. Um, I'm going to just say the chemical abortions are just absolutely awful. Number one, most of these women don't know what's going to happen to them. They don't realize they're going to be, delivering their dead baby either into a toilet or into whatever. They're going to be picking it off a floor, possibly. Who knows what's going to happen? So they're so devastated by this. Also, if they have that chemical abortion, if it fails, they still have to have a surgical abortion, which they didn't anticipate. So, if they're not being informed of those risks ahead of time, if they're not being told that could possibly happen, they have no clue. And then, we look at the chemical abortions, how it's going into our wastewater, our water systems, our sewer systems, the the chemical abortion pills themselves, plus the dead babies that are going into our systems. This is just, it's not a good thing. But when it affects them personally, and especially the abortion pills, the callers now, they're calling within days. I mean, we're not talking about just weeks or months or years. Lots of times women who have had surgical abortions, they'll call years later. It might be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, maybe even 40 years later. They will be calling in regards to their surgical abortion they had. But now with the chemicals, they're calling within days and they're just crying. They're weeping. I didn't know this. I mean, one caller I had last week, I didn't know. She just kept crying. I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know over and over. And finally, I had to calm her down enough that I could carry on a conversation with her. She was just in hysterics, basically, and I couldn't understand her. And, she finally got to the point of being calmed down, at least, that, then she could talk about it. But yeah, it's just so immediate, I think, the devastation from the chemical abortions, what's happening, because they just don't realize, what they got to go through.
So, Tammy, I know our producer has put on the bottom of the screen operationoutcry.org, which people could go there to find resources for abortion recovery. But
Yes.
in Michigan, do you have a different, just a direct resource for people in Michigan as you've been gathering did you say 35 out of 120
Yeah,
of the
as far as
pregnancy?
abortion recovery groups that are in Michigan. So, our purpose with the Michigan Abortion Recovery Coalition is certainly to get those resources out to all the centers so they know if there is somebody within their vicinity they can refer to. And just having that updated resource list. I found a lot of what do I want to say, mistakes, different things that were not correct. I've had to look up websites. I mean, I've been doing this for like hours upon hours upon hours. And I think I'm almost at the end of updating our resource list. And I'm certainly going to share it with the other organizations, in our states. I'm thankful we can do that. And to just encourage women to share their stories with Operation Outcry. I'm thankful for everybody, for you and everybody that's helped us and doing this and connecting with the women so they can know it's okay. They have a safe place to share their story. And it can
Yes.
certainly be used in the national cases, state cases, whatever that is. So, yeah.
So if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, do they do that through the MI, Abortion Recovery, Michigan Abortion
Yes,
Recovery?
we currently don't have a web page yet. We're praying about that, and hopefully somebody will step up to the plate for that. We, finances are a big thing, but they can certainly connect with us at our Gmail. So it's Michigan MI Abortion Recovery at gmail.com. So that's our only connection source right now until we
Okay.
get a web page going. So, yeah.
So it's Tammy at. Tammy
Um,
at.
no, it's just MI Abortion
Okay.
Recovery at gmail.com. Michigan
Okay.
Abortion Recovery at gmail.com. Yeah.
Okay. And that would get to you, or you
Yes,
have.
it will come to me or Karen Holdren, one of us.
Okay.
Yeah, since we're
So
doing this.
the two of you are the founders of that.
Yes, yeah, we're the two
Okay.
founders. We just really felt that God was putting on our hearts to do this over a year ago. We began praying on Wednesday nights together, the two of us, every Wednesday, and just letting the Lord lead and follow his direction, what he wanted us to do. So he did give us a strategy, a plan to do that. And so here we are.
Yes.
Keep
Yes.
marching forward, but we do need a webpage. Yeah, that would help us a little better. Oh, boy.
Okay. So if anybody out there has skills, get a hold of
Yes, yes.
MI Abortion Recovery at gmail.com. Huh.
I certainly don't have those skills, and Karen doesn't either. So,
So you need some help.
yes, we
Well,
do. Yes,
and
we do.
really, Tammy, I think what you're talking about really speaks to the grassroots of the movement in terms of those of us that know the harm of abortion. And your perspective is even broader because of working with the helpline and because of working in abortion recovery.
Yeah,
So I just I want our listeners to recognize and understand that this is a grassroots issue, that people that have been there and done that, so to speak, wish they didn't have the t-shirt and now are dedicating time and effort and talents into letting other people know this is really what happens in the aftermath of
yeah.
abortion. And I want you to talk about, you recently went to the March for Life in Michigan, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah,
And
that
you,
was great this year. We had good weather. The sun was shining, 51 degrees. We were so thankful for that. There was thousands that participated, and we don't know exactly how many thousands. They said thousands. So I'm going to say at least there was probably a good 8 to 10,000 on the lawn of our Capitol because it was really full. And when I've been there for other events that have come through with thousands, there was a lot. So I'm
uh-huh.
thankful for that many came out. And yeah, Karen and I, we had our little banner that we had made up with the QR code that women could click on for Operation Outcry if they want to share their stories and fill out a declaration. We had a QR code I can probably show you on my phone, maybe if you want. Anyways, so we had that, and we just had hurt by abortion. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm backwards
Oh,
probably.
yes.
Okay.
Hurt
So,
by
anyways, we
abortion,
just
be a
inserted the QR
witness.
code on the banner, hurt by abortion, be a witness. So that was our banner we used for the day of the march. And we had one gentleman come up. He was with the Michigan Family Forum. So that was cool to talk to him. And we hope and pray that a few women took a picture of that QR code for the day.
Yes. Because your effort is really to let people know and to call them out of what I think of as the shadows of shame, and
Yes,
let them know
absolutely.
healing is available. And for
Yes,
some people, then being able to speak about their past without shame and condemnation, but
yes,
also to the idea of moving forward, a change in the cultural narrative about what
yes,
abortion is and does, really.
yes. And we need so many women that are healed. It's a lifetime journey for most women. Obviously, we know that, but
Yes.
there's so many women who are healed. Um, they have the joy in life that Jesus has certainly given us back and restored into our lives, but they can move forward and help in these efforts and be a powerful voice. Oh my goodness, in the
Yes.
nation. And that's what we desire to see. We need those voices. So the more we get, the
Yes.
better.
So, what would you say to a woman or a man that is listening today, and that has been on the fence, or maybe they've just been hiding in the shadows of shame? I know I did that for many years, and they just need a little nudge to have the courage to take the first step. What would you say to them today, Tammy?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, if they haven't been through abortion recovery journey or a healing study, to do that first and foremost. If they've certainly done that, fill out a declaration. It helps in the healing process. I was so excited when I was able to do that years and years ago, back in the day, in 2001, and that somebody really wanted to hear my voice, what happened to me. And so it is part of the healing process. And you know what? There is no guilt and shame if we've given that over to the Lord and we've repented of that. He covers everything. But to fill out a declaration is just part of that healing process, and to know that their voice does make a difference. Their story does make a difference. Who reads it? Somebody reads it. We know this, and somebody summarizes it, and they're being used nationally in the state cases. So it's a wonderful thing to see that happening.
Yes. Thank you, Tammy. And so contact miabortionrecovery@gmail.com, or contact operationoutcry.org. Find a resource near you,
Yes.
and get healing and sign a declaration at Operation
Yeah.
Outcry. Thank you,
Yeah.
Tammy.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but Michigan's kind of been a hotbed of some things. You, like some other states, did pass Proposition 3, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And what year
Unfortunately,
did
we
you,
were the first state to go down.
the first state? And what year
Yeah.
did you do that?
That was 3 years ago. So that would have been, yeah, 2022, November
Okay.
2022.
So that would have been right on the heels of the Dobbs decision, reversing
Yes,
Roe.
absolutely. Yeah. They were ready for it, and they were, yeah, if, they were ready. The opposition,
So
of course. Yeah.
you currently have a lawsuit that was filed, and by the Northland Family Planning Centers versus the state of Michigan, because they did not want the books on the laws on the books in Michigan uh, to be enforceable, because you did put voters in Michigan voted to put reproductive freedom in the Constitution. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. It is in the Constitution, so it literally thrown out everything. All our pro-life legislation that was currently intact is gone. So, yeah, everything that was protecting women and children in our state was gone. And so now we have to fight to get that stuff back, hopefully.
So
Lord
I was
willing.
noticing that on May 12th, the lower court there in Michigan said that the 24-hour waiting period was not enforceable. What a woman was told before she had an abortion, the consent, informed consent, was not enforceable.
Right.
Can you speak to that in terms of what your experience is on the hotline and whether or not women need
Oh,
women and
absolutely.
girls, because girls are
Yes.
given the abortion pill too. Yeah.
Informed consent, to be honest with you, over all the years, I think just in Michigan in general, has been pretty lax, even when it was on the books, I would say. It's certainly been very lax with abortion clinics over the years. And I only say that from being a facilitator for all the years I have and facilitating over hundreds and hundreds of women over the 40 plus years. They were not informed. But especially now with the chemical abortions, these women are not getting any information at all. They're mail ordering these things. There's no accountability. They don't have to meet with a doctor. So it's just awful. It's so devastating. But informed consent is needed. They need to know what is going to happen. If they're informed with all the correct information, they can make an educated choice if they choose that, but we don't have that anymore at all. So it's sad. But every woman who is not informed, they just don't know what's going to happen. They have no clue. And so that devastation just compounds, and that shame and that guilt. And everything is heaped upon that woman that she made that choice, not knowing and not being informed to begin with.
So and I don't know, this is kind of maybe a loaded question, but do you draw any conclusions from having so many people participating in the March for Life? Is there a way for you to equate that with the vote that went forward in Michigan 3 years ago? You think people didn't understand, or maybe they regret,
Mm,
or
yeah. I think number one, the wording on the proposition was very bad. And most people probably didn't understand that wording, I don't think, thinking going into the voting polls. Um, and probably several people, I'm sure, multitudes, I'm sure, voted for something they probably wouldn't have voted for if they knew in detail what that was really going to do. And I can't remember the percentage now. I'm going to say it passed with 57%, I believe it was, right off the top of my head. I think that's what it was. But
okay?
yeah, so, if more people literally knew what was going to happen, I don't think it would have happened, really. I really don't. But
So for those listeners that are not in Michigan and maybe their state hasn't faced this kind of vote yet, what would you say to them if it's being contemplated in their state, or what have you learned, I would say, in Michigan
yeah,
that you would want other listeners to understand, maybe if they're
right.
not from Michigan?
Well, be informed as a voter for sure, because you need to know what that wording literally means. And if you don't, then you need to go find the person that can tell you the correct definition of all that jargon, that it's very deceptive. And we always know when there is deception, which comes from the enemy, the deceiver, there's always going to be devastation. So, we've found that true in our state. You got to know what you're voting for. And I've always been, I guess, myself personally, if I don't know something or I'm not informed correctly about what I'm voting for, I won't vote for it to begin with. So I just abstain from that. I need to know. So I'm going to ask questions. I want to be informed as a voter, and I want to make sure I'm correct on what I've heard and what I am hearing and seeing. And I need to get that word out to other people that I know, as far as the correctness of all that legal stuff and all the wording in those propositions. I
Well,
wish we would.
You wish you wouldn't have. Yes. I think what you're saying has been true in other states as well. When the vote came up to change the Constitution,
Yeah.
voters were either uninformed or misinformed as to what the constitutional amendment would actually do. This might be a good place to mention the constitutional amendment is different than a statute. Generally, a constitutional amendment would take precedence. Something in the Constitution would take precedence over something that is passed as a law or a statute. So if you are in a state that hasn't faced this yet, or if you're in a state that has, Tammy's from Michigan, I'm from Missouri, both of our states passed language that's been very devastating. Excuse me here. My apologies. But it's harder to get, I'm sorry, it's harder to change something that's in the Constitution. It's not like you can elect different legislators that can then go in and make changes, because once it's in the Constitution, it takes another level to get that shifted out. So we are hoping that in Michigan, that case is under appeal, where the judge said no 24 hours and you don't have to give a woman informed information before she has an abortion. A woman or girl, I should say, because abortions are being given. There's no limit, age limit for the chemical abortion pill.
Yes.
And as Tammy mentioned, people are getting it online. There's no examination. There's no precautions, no protective measures for women or girls. So I'm just thankful for you, Tammy, that you've been working in this arena for some while and have creative ideas on connecting dots in your local community about local meaning your state. How do we connect the resources together, and how do we then begin to expand the resources and let the public know abortion recovery is available? And it's available in different ways, and you can get it wherever you are, because there's
Yeah.
abortion recovery online. It's sometimes very helpful to be in person. And when you talk about abortion recovery within a pregnancy help center, it really does give the opportunity many times to come face to face with other people that have experienced abortion loss. And so in that sense, I just want to thank you for your years of dedication, Tammy. I just wonder, as you're reflecting on the different things that are happening. So you've got the lawsuit over the constitutional amendment that says now basically Northland Family Planning Centers is saying none of the laws are enforceable. And so you have women not being informed, women not having even a pause before they might have an exam before they begin an abortion. And you have pregnancy help centers, 120, but only about 35 of them that offer abortion recovery.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we know, because of the multi-millions of people that have suffered abortion, there is the need. So
Yes.
you're busy connecting the dots, trying to
Yes.
connect the dots and getting the word out.
Yep.
And the other way is then the Michigan Abortion Recovery Coalition. So I think the work that you're doing, Tammy, is an example for other people. If you're in Michigan, contact Tammy. She could use some help. Tammy and Karen can use help.
Yes.
And if you're in a different state, you could contact Tammy for encouragement for doing something similar in your state, because this is an example that could be replicated.
Yes.
So I just wonder, is there anything else you'd like to say, Tammy, to our listeners?
Well, I just want to say, you know what? We're never too old for this job, because God does equip the called. We have different seasons in our life, just like I have had different seasons in my life where I've had to pull back maybe for a time, but God, just over the last few years, he says, I'm resurrecting new things. So it's just amazing. And if we are the yes girls or the yes men, whatever the case might be, God uses it in an amazing way. So, and it's all for his purpose and his glory. So, and to see
Yes.
women healed, and women and men healed from abortion. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Tammy, and thank you to the listeners and the viewers out there. And if you need abortion recovery or know somebody that does, go to operationoutcry.org, and there are a list of resources there. You can call the H3 helpline at 866-721-7881. Each phone coach has abortion experience and can help you connect with recovery resources in your area. And we look forward to seeing you again on More to the Story with Molly White. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, friend. Our broadcasting wanted to take a moment to personally thank you for being a listener of the More to the Story podcast. Whether you're a longtime subscriber or just found us, we're so glad you're here. This podcast is a community built on sharing, and that's where you come in. If an episode has ever resonated with you, please consider sharing it. Text it to a friend, post it on social media. Your recommendation is the most powerful way to help these important stories reach new ears. We are also inviting businesses and individuals to partner with us as official sponsors. Sponsoring the podcast is a wonderful way to reach a dedicated, thoughtful audience while directly supporting our mission. If you'd like to explore sponsoring the podcast, we invite you to visit our website at www.moretothestorypodcast.org. Again, that's www.moretothestorypodcast.org. Thank you for being a part of our story.